Hi, everyone. This is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a juicy episode for you. So, listen up because it also might be kind of controversial, but just bear with me because I will explain everything so that it makes sense. Okay. So, the goal, I believe, for everyone when they are connecting romantically is to be on the same team it's like you're standing side by side and you're on the same team, and the mission, choose, should you choose to accept it, the mission is to have as much connection and pleasure out of the experience together. So it's not like this person needs to do this and that person needs to do this. It's like, no, how do we work together on the same team and communicate and also let the energy flow in a way where both people are getting super turned on, things are getting super juicy, and you're just feeling really good in your body and very connected and just like super juicy, right? So, something I was talking to a girlfriend about this week, which I want to break it down for you, is I really believe that as a woman, I want to be dominated by a man in bed. And I know that we have so many programmings and traumas around male domination. We'll use it like masculine energy dominating in our world, in our societies, in my own personal life. I have experienced a lot of negativity around masculine domination and like the patriarchy and like all these things that are real things that are happening in the world, right? So I'm honoring all of those. And also, why is it that us women really love bad boys? And why is it that the safe men, the good men, are sometimes not attractive to us? And I mean, I've really worked this through in my psyche a lot because I will usually go ping pong in my relationships and my loverships between someone that's a little bit more edgy and someone that's a little bit more safe. And of course, I would love the balance in the middle. And that's why I'm trying to share this podcast with all of you, because I think all of us want this. When it comes to having great sex, like, do you want to know the actual secret to having great sex? It's having great polarity. Balance between you and whoever you're connecting with. So it doesn't actually matter which body, like if you're male, woman, other. It's more about each one of us, no matter what body we're in, we have masculine and feminine energy inside of us. And we each individually, it's a spectrum of how much that we choose to express one or the other. So for me, in the past, I have led a lot of my life in my masculine energy. I also have an extreme amount of feminine energy. And so over the course of the last 5 years, I've really dropped. I've really dropped into my feminine energy. And this is what feels for me the most natural in my body to lead with in the world. And of course, I still use my masculine energy to get things done, to go out and, be very assertive, create safe containers, all the things. But in my everyday relating romantically, I really love to be in my feminine energy. I really love to drop in, to surrender, to let go of control. And in order for me to feel safe to do this on a somatic level, somatic means the sensations that are going through your body. It has nothing to do with mental. It has nothing to do with looks. Looks can feed into it. If I see a big masculine man, like a big man who looks very masculine, maybe at first glance, I will be like, ooh, my feminine energy wants to like drop into that. That feels juicy. But it's really about the energy. And so it doesn't actually matter which body you're in. It's what is the energy that you are emanating and which energy feels like a match for you in that moment in time. Because for me, in certain moments in my life, I've been more leading my masculine energy. So then for a good polarity balance energetically between me and my romantic partner, I would usually attract in men who were leading, or women who were leading more in their feminine energy. And it would just be this balance. And of course, within relationships, it's not binary. It's not black and white. Like, I am in my masculine, so therefore you always have to be in your feminine, or I'm in my it's not like that. It's like can tag team it and be like, right now I'm having one of these days where I need to be more feminine. So can you be like the one who's holding the container and getting things done and like all this stuff. So I really believe, again, it should be us working on the same team as our partners. I'm really excited to talk about this podcast. So I have to like calm myself sometimes. Ground in. But when we're working on the same team with our partners, I'm talking about specifically with the goal to have great sex. So this is what we're talking about. So in order to have this like balanced polarity where it feels juicy and the energy's flowing and it's yummy and you're like getting turned on, like literally energetically, physically, emotionally, you need to one, be attuned to what energy you are emanating. So for me these days, I know because I'm in tune with my body that I'm emanating more of a feminine energy. I lead with my feminine. Of course, I still have I think the goal of all of us is to have integrated both masculine and feminine energy. But when we're talking about romantic, like how do I want, like in my business life, I usually am in my masculine because I'm getting stuff done. I'm holding safe containers for my community, blah, 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 right? But in my romantic partnerships, I would really like to be my feminine, and this is what I choose. So in order for me to feel like I'm having good sex with someone, I need to feel like the man or the woman who's leading in their masculine that I'm connecting with romantically is in control. So like I want to be dominated by the masculine energy. What does that mean to be dominated by the masculine energy? It means like I understand that it is so that masculine energy is holding such a strong container for me energetically, physically, emotionally, that I can just drop in. I do not have a choice even. It is just time to surrender. And I'll give you an example. Okay, I know that you love when I go deep and I talk about real life stories, so let's give you one. So one time I was having sex with two men, and I'll say the first man one, he was, they're both beautiful men, but the energy was very different between them. And they both presented as very masculine, like forward presenting men, right? So I was like, at first, like, oh, this is going to be like a really great balance between all of our energies because I can just be fully in my feminine. Well, the first man, I could feel that he was trying his best to be in his masculine energy around me, but what the feeling in my body was that he wasn't actually sure if he was doing the right thing. He wasn't confident in his body, and he wasn't really, and what I felt the most was that he was not attuned to his own body. And so then if a person is not in connection with their own body and like how their body's feeling, like what does their body need in that moment? For me, especially as a woman in this container, I do not feel that they can be attuned to my body. It's like, if you're not in connection with your own body, how are you going to hold a safe container? And how am I going to feel safe to drop in, to allow myself to surrender and let go of control, feel and know that you have not just your own body in control, like that you're aware and attuned to your own body, and also that you can be attuned to mine. And this is really what the feminine wants. We want to be like, oh, I can just drop in. Like, I don't have to think about anything. I'm just in my body. There's juices flowing. There's feelings flowing. There's like, things happening in spirit. I can just go home to spirit. Like, there is just so much space for me to unfold as the feminine energy. And feminine energy is like going into the void. We are source energy. We are the connection to the divine, right? And so the first man that I was connecting with is in this threesome, like the sex from a physical standpoint was very good. Like, we were doing all the great positions, and, he was pulling my hair in just the right way and all this stuff. But like energetically, I was still in my head. I was still like, okay, what's happening next? And yeah, this feels good physically, but I wasn't able to just release and like drop in and surrender. And I was like wondering why that was. And I realized now it was because he was in his head. So he wasn't really just like attuned to his body, feeling his body. He was in performative mode. And there is no judgment of this situation. I'm just giving you guys some tips because I think I know because I talk to a lot of you and I do coaching on this, that a lot of men, like, they don't feel like they're on the same team as whoever the man or woman that they're connecting with. They feel like, okay, I have to perform. No one really told me what women want in general. Maybe I watched some YouTube, maybe I watched some porn, but like every woman's body is very different, or male's body is every person's body is very different. So, if I'm not attuned to myself, and I'm not in connection with how I feel in my body, and also no one really taught me how to be in tune with someone else's body. And so I'm just going to do like the 1, 2, 3 of what I think is going to work physically. But what I'm trying to enlighten all of you is like this subconscious thing that's happening for all of us, where as we raise our vibration and as we get more in tune with our bodies, we're going to realize that sex is like a very small percentage of physical and a very large percentage of energetic, emotional, spiritual. Like there's a lot of things happening there that maybe your conscious mind is not aware of. And I'm trying to bring this into your consciousness so that you can have better sex. So man one, he was doing everything he can to make me feel good, to like have great sex. And I was like, this is okay. But like, I wasn't able to just surrender and just like be my full creative tantric sexual being, and I can do this by myself. Like when I self-pleasure, I'm getting places, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I'm like crying, I'm having whole downloads, like, lots of things are happening. So I know that when I'm with a partner, or I'm with a romantic partner, I want it to be just as good as that or better. And so I also recommend that if you don't know what your baseline is of like what your body is doing, then I think you should do that exploration on your own first and like really get into your self-pleasure, whichever body you're in. Because when we're working with someone else and on the same team with someone else to have great sex, we have to come to the table having done our own research about ourselves. Because if someone asks you, what do you like? Or, like they're trying to tune into what you like and you're not attuned to your own body, again, it's not going to work. So like both people, whoever's in all these constellations, y'all need to be doing that inner work of like, connecting to your body, learning tools, somatic tools. Somatic, again, means the sensations running through your body, being attuned to the energy moving through your body, what's showing up for you, what makes you feel good on a physical level, an emotional level, a spiritual level when you are engaging with yourself sexually. And this might go over a lot of your heads, but I'm telling you in the next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be very mainstream normal. So I'm just trying to awaken all of you to something that we have been doing low key for many years in the communities that I'm in. So man number 2 enters the picture in this threesome. So we're going back to the story. So man number 2 enters the picture. And man number 1 at this point, we had already had penetrative sex. And then he's like kissing me. And then man number 2 just comes up. And like the whole energy is just different. Like I am like, what's happening? Because suddenly my body, so he starts going down on me while man number 1 is kissing me. And my whole body just starts melting. And I'm like, and I can also start feeling like the Kundalini energy. So Kundalini is like when your sacral chakra it's like the chakra, your sex chakra gets activated and it starts moving the energy up your body. So Kundalini energy is a sacred tantric practice, which is basically just circulating the energy through your body through sex or sexual things that move your sexual energy. But really our life force energy, everything that starts in our life starts in our, I'm trying to like show you guys, it starts in our sacral, it starts in our sex chakra, and we can move it through our whole body. And when we do this, it's healing. It can move the energy into our heart chakra, into our crown chakra. This is when we start getting downloads and enlightened spiritual experiences during sex. Like for me, when I talk about sex to my friends, they know that like for me, sex is a very sacred spiritual experience. It's not like just bodies, like slapping each other. I'm like going into other dimensions. I'm pulling back the downloads. I'm like healing timelines, And for a lot of you, that might also be going over your head. But anyway, so man number 2, he starts coming, like, he was going down on me for a minute and I was like, what the heck? And then he starts like coming up my body and like kissing me. And I basically at this point, without realizing it, like pushed man number 1 off of me. Cause I was like, what the heck is because I felt this such a strong difference in the energy of these two men. And I looked down at him and I'm like, I was just thinking, and my eyes were saying like, what's going on? And he looked at me and he said to me, he like whispered in my ear. He comes up and he whispers in my ear and he's like, are you ready to go home? And I'm like, ooh. My whole body just gets like chills, even just thinking about it, because there are so many layers to what he said to me and how he looked at me and how he like grabbed my hair and like pulled me in and like said that into my ear. And all of it was the energy of, I'm here. I'm holding this container for you energetically, physically, emotionally, for you to just let go and for you to go home to spirit and for you to just drop in and go into the void that is all that is the eternal everything and nothing all at once. And every single touch that he was doing on my body, and it wasn't, this is the thing I don't understand what's happening in a lot of the kink communities and the BDSM communities, is they are trying to evoke this energy through like being very rough with someone. A lot of times it's like less about attunement to the energy and more like, I'm just going to hit you or tie you up or be aggressive towards you so that you release control. And you can still get into those subspaces and those like surrender spaces. They call them subspaces in BDSM and kink, which means like you're releasing control, you're going into spirit, you're just like surrendering. You can get into those subspaces with, more aggressive BDSM. But what I'm trying to say to you is that it is an energy. And so this man number 2 in this orgy, in this threesome I was having, was able to invoke this energy into the field, into our situation, without being aggressive at all, without any fast movements. Like my body was like very open, and he just like every single touch and the way he caressed me and the way he moved my body was like saying, I'm here. You can let go of control. You can just go home to spirit. And I still think about the sex with this man to this day. Because for me, in that moment, it was a connection not just on a physical level. It was emotional. It was energetic. It was spiritual. It was all of the things. And that, I feel like, is what a lot of us women want. And a lot of men are not understanding how to do that. So we have a lot of, we have the Andrew Tates of the world that are like, you just need to like tell her what to do and like, put women in their box, in their place. And then you have a lot of the, also like the leftists, which is like, men need to like just stop existing. And it's like, I don't think it's either of those things. I think we need to meet in the middle and recognize that there is an attunement and there is energy. And when you can be attuned to your body, when you understand how the energy is moving through your body, and when you are a masculine leading in this container of a sexual dynamic, if the energy, you want to know the energy that is best to be in order for you to have the best sex, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you. The energy is, just take a deep breath. The energy is, I am in control. I am holding a safe container for you. I got you. I'm here. And you don't have to do anything. You can just let go and release. And I will just hold this container. And yes, of course, you're going to be doing things physically while this energy is emanating from you. You're going to be, whatever, going down on someone, having penetrative sex, kissing, pulling their hair, whatever it is that gets you off. But what I'm trying to say is the energy is, I'm here. I'm in control. You don't have to think about anything. You can just be in your body. I'm attuned to what's happening in my body. I'm listening to your body somatically. I can tell what you like and what you don't like. Of course, there is verbal communication. I think verbal communication is one of the sexiest things you can do in bed. You can ask all of my lovers. They're all like, wow, Brittnee is so communicative about what she doesn't like, what she likes. And of course, there's a balance in that because, again, as the feminine, I don't want to be like telling someone what I like the whole time we're doing it. I want to be surprised, like the difference between like desire and boredom is the act of surprise, like I think I said that wrong. Esther Perel has a really good quote about this that I can't remember now, but she's talking about a lot of things around masculine and feminine energy and the polarity balance. And the thing I remember from her is that she's basically like, if a woman knows what the sex is going to be like and it's the same every single time, that is going to kill the desire for that sex. And so a woman doesn't want to be in control in bed. She wants to be able to just let go and literally not be in her head, just fully in her body. And it's not that you have to be, again, performative and like always coming up with new things. What I think of when I think of good sex, it's our bodies are just doing things. They're flowing. Things are happening. But it's like we're so in tune with each other that every single time that we're just making art that can never be repeated. Like we will never have that kind of sex again with that specific person in that moment with those emotions and that energy. And so you might as well drop in. You might as well really enjoy it. And I feel that no matter like who you are as a man or a woman, if you want to go try this, I think that you're going to have a lot better sex than you were before. And if you're a woman and you would like to have better sex in the situation, you can just send your partner or your lovers this podcast, because I think that we just need to all be on board. And the goal, like I was saying in the beginning, is that we're on the same team. No one is better than anyone else in the situation. But I think that if we learn some of these tools, and this is why I love doing my podcasts and I love creating my play parties, is because I feel like if we just educated ourselves more, we would all be having way better sex and more pleasure and just feel so much better inside. And something else I want to say here is that on both sides, no matter what body that you're in, you cannot fake it. So you cannot go around being like that's kind of the opposite of attunement. So like you can't go around and being like, this is really great, I'm having the best orgasm. Like the worst thing you can do as a woman is like fake an orgasm. But as a man, like if you are also being performative and you're acting like this big macho guy, like a woman can feel that. She's not going to drop in. A lot of the things I'm saying in this podcast have nothing to do with what's happening physically and everything to do with what's happening energetically. So, and you can't fake a frequency. So there's no way that you can go into a situation and be like, I'm this big macho guy and I'm confident, I know exactly what I'm doing. Da, da, da. What a woman really wants is for you to show up and be like, we're going to figure this out together. But while we figure this out together, I'm going to hold this container and make sure you feel really safe. I'm going to do my best to help you feel good in your body. You are going to walk away from the situation having a lot of pleasure, and connection and all of the beautiful things that we all are hoping and desiring. And in this situation that I was talking about with this threesome, with these two guys, it was just so interesting for me, the dichotomy between both the men who were very masculine presenting and like looked very similar physically, both had really great penises, like all the things were like exactly the same on a physical level. But the energy that they carried and how they showed up and used that energy is what made it good sex, which is like, they say like good sex is like sex that you're probably going to forget about in a couple months, and like mind blowing, like astral, like spiritual, shamanic, best sex you've ever had in your life. And the only difference was the energy. So I just really want to like emphasize this point that yes, it's important to work with what you have physically and to like really be, taking care of your body and like doing your best to like drop into your body and be in connection. But the most important thing that makes great sex is being able to feel that you are attuned. And me as a woman, when I was in the situation and I was having sex with man number 2, the feminine energy, that I felt was that I was safe to completely drop into my body, and I was able to just surrender to the masculine energy that was holding this container. And I think that, like, I'm trying to put this in like practical, like a practical tip for men who don't know what this means. But basically, like, a lot of men today, we don't have, they do not have role models. So they grew up without positive role models of what it means to be a man holding a safe container energetically. In the world today, we have a lot of negative masculine role models of men using their masculine energy to like hurt, persecute, create wars, like basically create a lot of negative things in the world. But the problem is that like men in general are on this like I would say that men on a mass consciousness level are in a freeze response right now because they don't want to be labeled as a bad man. And so they end up not using their masculine energy in situations where it's actually really needed. And so this is in containers of like romantic relationships where the woman really just wants to drop in and the man doesn't know, like, okay, I don't have to fix everything for her. I just need to show up for her in a way where she feels like, I can just relax. And like, he's handling my physical reality. And I'll give you an example. Like if I come home and my partner, I don't have a partner right now, but I'm just like, hypothesizing. This has happened to me many times in the past. I'll just like give an example. Like come home and my boyfriend is like, I can immediately tell that you're in a bad mood or like you're upset. And I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need anything. And they're like, okay, but what do you really need? And I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm fine. And then at this point, like it's always like a couple times they check in and then you're like, okay, and then they just come over and like wrap me in their arms and give me this big hug. And then I immediately start crying because I actually just really needed a hug. I needed some literal physical containment of like, I'm safe. Like someone has my back. They're here for me. And then usually my partner would be like, okay, go lay on the couch. I'm going to make you some popcorn because they know that I love popcorn. This is like a thing for Brittnee Bond. I love popcorn and I'm going to make you some tea and we're just going to cuddle and you're going to tell me about what happened. And I'm like, okay. And then I just lay on the couch and they like tuck me into a blanket. And again, like you could say, oh, this is your inner child. Like you're going into child mode, but like this is also what women just need. And a lot of us are programmed as women to not allow ourselves to receive this. So I also want to say to the women who are listening to this, some of the best ways that you can ignite healthy masculine energy around you in your life is to ask for help from the men that deserve to be in your life and that you feel safe receiving from. And you might say, well, I don't feel safe receiving from any man. Okay, well, we create our reality. Like I honor that. I have had many, many negative experiences with men in my life. It's not like I just popped out and like all the men in my life have been amazing and beautiful. Like I don't need to go. You can listen to all my podcasts before. My breakup last year was very publicized. Like there is so much out there of Brittnee Bond interacting with negative masculine energy. But yet I still created a reality for myself where so many beautiful men are in my life. Like literally the man that I'm living with currently, my roommate, is bringing me fresh lemon water for my podcast and supporting me and finding me like a stick extension cord for the light and like making sure that everything is working and cooking me dinner last night while I go to a play party. And it's like, this is like the men that are my friends. I'm not even counting about like we're lovers, romantic partners. But what do I personally do in order to ignite this in men that I feel like, because like for me, I work with men in this container of like coaching, play parties, where I work a lot. And one of my soul missions is healing the masculine and feminine dynamics in the world. So I can spot very quickly a really beautiful man who's maybe not had a positive experience showing up for women. And so I will start asking them for help. Like literally, can you help me move this thing? Yeah, I can probably move it myself. I'm thinking in my head, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to show up for me. Or like, hey, can I get some feedback on this? Like, I just want to talk this out with someone. And these are all ways to give men an opportunity to create this containment for you. And containment is a beautiful thing. I grew up in an environment where containment was used to oppress and control me and suppress me. As I evolved as a human, I started to realize that containment is what makes us feel safe, and the feminine actually needs a safe containment in order to unfold properly. I myself am I have a lot of feminine energy and a lot of feminine power, and so I need a lot of containment in order to feel safe to unfold that all the way. What you will see in a lot of relationships where the masculine doesn't feel safe to show up in their full masculine power is you will hear this. I'll tell you a secret. You will hear men saying, "Oh my gosh, I was dealing with this woman, and she had such chaos energy." Chaos energy is feminine energy that doesn't have safe containment around it. It just goes into It is basically a woman who doesn't feel safe and is trying to still express herself in this world. Each one of us women have a responsibility to create our own safe container within our own psyche. So Brittnee Bond, I have masculine energy in myself. It has taken me almost my entire life to figure out how to make my own safe container for myself in my psyche and in my body. It is really only locked in the last year. Because I now have this for myself, I know what the standard is of what I want to attract in. And you can only attract in what you are the vibration of. So when I was feeling unsafe in my body and in my psyche, and I didn't feel safe around men and letting them show up for me, I was attracting in men who either were afraid to show up as their masculine in the masculine container. Basically I was manifesting men in my life as partners that were not skilled and didn't know how to, or was feeling unsafe to show up as a masculine presence in my life. And or I was calling in men who were, it was like, for me, I was fighting that containment because I grew up in a very oppressive, suppressive environment. And so I was either manifesting a man who was very safe and was basically castrated from the masculine energy. Like they had either done it to themselves or society had done it, and they were just afraid to show up in their divine masculine and like really just hold that container and have boundaries and be like, no, this is what's happening and this is what you need and I want to hold this for you. And or I was attracting in men like I had a Russian boyfriend at one point who was just so aggressive in their containment that it kind of bulldozed through me blocking them. Like I was like, I don't want to receive this mass containment. I don't want it. But they were so like, no, this is what you need to receive. And then I could finally drop in. But that doesn't feel good in the end. You know, women don't want to be bulldozed into being contained, right? So I had to do my own work. Y'all have to do your own work. But the healthy balance in all of this is allowing yourself to receive healthy masculine containment. So basically allowing men to show up for you in a healthy way and using their masculine energy to protect, provide, and take care of you. I have 5 men on speed dial right now in many different time zones, like across the world. So at any moment, one of them is available. All 5 of these men, maybe we were lovers at one point, but we are soul family now. It doesn't really matter about the lovership. What matters is that these 5 men have consciously chosen that they want to be a divine masculine in my life, and they really love me to bits and pieces, and they want to show up for me in a way of like, what do you need physically? Can I show up for you? Okay, you need someone to hold space for you emotionally. I got you. Or no, can you call one of the other ones? It's like we all know each other, right? We're all super good friends. And I have no intention. I'm trying to explain a concept to you that I think a lot of you are going to be like, what the heck? Is she like using these men? It's like, no, these men love me so much. They love me so much. And all they want to do is show up for me. And they know that we are a tribe, we are a crew, you know, of our soul family. And I just happen to be really close to 5 of them in a way where I feel very safe receiving fully their masculine containment in my life where I can unfold fully in my feminine around them. I can cry. I can be very dysregulated. I can be like, I need to cuddle. I need a hug. Like, can you show up for me? And I do the same for them. Like, I provide the feminine nourishment and caretaking and like support and like holding space vibrationally for the men that I know they want to grow into. That is the divine feminine. And not taking any shit when they're going through their stuff, and just like holding this very grounded container for them to move through whatever they need to move through to become the men that they want to become. A lot of women message me and they say, I hear you telling me all these stories of you like, having these great relationships with men, having all this great sex. Like, how do I do that? And I'm giving you a tip right now. And a lot of you are having a hard time taking this tip and actually doing it. And I know that it is very vulnerable to ask men for help. What I invite you to do is to try it. And when you are asking for help, to notice how your voice sounds when you ask for help. I'm going to give you an example. This is a glass of water that my friend Yassine just made for me with lemon, fresh organic lemons. I'm going to ask him for water. Like, he's not here right now in the room, but I'm going to ask him for water in two separate tones. One is with my masculine energy and one is with my feminine energy. Hey, Yassine, can you get me some water? That is my masculine energy. So that is like literally in the tone of my voice. I can feel it in my body. It's like, okay, if you can't do this, I'm going to go do this for myself. The feminine energy, this is the energy that you need to be in, or invite you to be in when you're asking for help from the masculine, because it literally invokes their masculine energy to show up for you. Hey, Yassine, do you think you could get me some water? That would make me feel so good right now. So I have had people message. So I just want to ask, did you notice the difference? You can even like replay this, like wind it back, replay that little bit, because there is a very big difference vibrationally between how I asked for that water from the same person, the same situation, but it's how me as a woman was showing up in that situation. And I will give you a secret that us women need to show all of ourselves in our divine, full feminine in order for the men to, it's like literally we are the thing that invokes the masculine energy to come on board, the divine masculine energy. And a lot of us women are scared to be too much. We are scared because we have been raised to be programmed to be silent and beautiful and, like just these simple creatures that are just like a deer in the headlights. Like, no, we are wild women. We are so full of fire. And we have the power to ignite the divine masculine in any man that we encounter. Do you want to know why I do this? Do you want to know why I know this? It's because I do this all the time. And it is not me manipulating the men around me. It is me literally dropping into my body and orientating my reality according to what feels good in my body, and speaking up and asking for help from the men around me in order to support me feeling good in my body. And when a woman is feeling really good in her body and very juicy and just like, I will tell you that this ignites all of the masculine around them to support this, because it is, and even the masculine energy in the women around this person. So even for me, like I have women where they're like, yeah, let me help you, because a woman, the feminine energy, no matter what body you're in, the feminine energy is I feel like so needed in the world today. This is what's going to heal us, is divine feminine energy that is orientating from our body, from a place of pleasure, from a place of safety. And so when someone interacts with this divine feminine energy, it's like this precious gem that you want to protect at all costs. And because it is very vulnerable, it is a very vulnerable, raw, like intimate energy. And it feels so good to receive. Like as I'm speaking, I'm literally right now, as I speak to you, I am speaking from my pussy. This is a very different energy than when I'm speaking from my head or I'm looking at the notes for this podcast. And I'm telling you all of this because this goes to the beginning of the podcast about attunement. So instead of waiting for the men to wake up, us women can also aid in this process by invoking our divine feminine energy, going out in the world, speaking from our sacral, from our pussy, and orientating our life and our reality around what brings us pleasure, and asking for help and allowing ourselves to receive and appreciating it. Oh my goodness, appreciating it when men show up for us. Because this is what also fuels them, and this is what makes them feel more in their masculine. And then when we're in a container of romantic reality, allowing the man to show up and allowing yourself to receive that containment from the masculine. So say a guy is like, okay, I'm in control. We're in bed. I'm in control. You can just let go. No. Don't even think about anything. I got you. But if we as women are operating from our masculine energy, they basically are trying to fight our masculine energy in order for us to be able to drop into our feminine. So we need to do our own work, and we need to drop in as much as we can into our feminine energy on the daily so that we can interact with a man, and we don't have to wait for him to be this bad boy about to go to prison. Basically, the bad boy archetype that's like, the best sex you ever had is probably in prison. Ha ha. That's because our masculine energy across the board for most women today in like mainstream Western society is so strong that it takes like a criminal masculine energy in order for us to be able to surrender. So what does that say about us? That says that we need to be more in our feminine energy. What does it mean to be more in your feminine energy? To nourish yourself, to rest, to do things that make you feel in your feminine, in your body. For every single female body, this is different. For me, it means getting massages, being in nature, taking bubble baths, reading, getting enough rest. I have so many beautiful things I'm birthing into the world that a lot of times I forget to eat and I forget to sleep enough. I wake up and I'm already like getting so many downloads and I need to call so many people. And so I had to use my masculine energy to create better scheduling for myself, where now I don't take phone calls until noon. So I have the morning to wake up slowly, do my journaling, do my meditation, drop into my feminine energy and remember that there's enough time. We have arrived. There's nowhere to go except for to be in my feminine energy. And from this, I magnetize everything that I'm calling into my life. And then I can go and still do things in my masculine energy, but my core operating frequency is in my feminine. And when I interact in the world, this is what people receive from me. And this feels really yummy in their body. And more things that I do is like journaling, being with other women. This is why the core and the foundation of every single community I'm in is my sisters. We need each other. We need to be with each other and to be women and to talk about all the things that are unique to us. And that's why I'm so happy that I was able to launch this last week here in San Francisco, the women's events here, the sisterhood events. I did it with my friend Stacy. And I really hope that they continue even when I'm away in Thailand this winter. So if you're in the San Francisco area or you're coming here soon, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Brittnee Bond, and I will add you to the group chat if you're in a female body. And we also are launching them for the men as well. So we are building a tribe. It's happening. And I'm so grateful that you guys are all here on this journey. The reason why I'm making this podcast today is because I went to a play party last night that I did not organize, but I'm hosting one next weekend here in the Bay. But I went to one last night and I had a man come up to me on the dance floor and he was like, I just really want to honor you right now. And I was like, okay, like I'm here for it. But like, what are you talking about? And he was just like, he came to my last play party last month here in San Francisco. And he was like, I watched I watched the video that you have about the play party, your podcast about it. But then I went on a little portal and I watched a couple of your episodes. And he was saying that like a lot of the things that you say on your podcast are not necessarily like new information for me, but the way that it's so funny that I say this right when the fire trucks are going by. Just going to let that. So this doesn't feel good in my body, but we're also staying neutral about it. Anyway, so he said a lot of the things that you said in your podcast are not necessarily new information in the world, but the way that you said them and the way they actually landed in my body was like super profound and like new for me. And I was like, wow, thank you for that reflection. And also like, I'm always like curious, like, what do you think it was? And he's like, you're just like really in your body and you're like really orientating from your feminine. And to hear a lot of these kind of conversations from a woman who's just like really tuned into her own body, he was like, it really hit me like as the masculine. I'm like, wow, okay, so this is, this is what women want. And like, he's like, I also just really appreciate that I felt like I was just hanging out with a friend, And I told him and I'll let you guys in on a little secret. A lot of times in my podcast, I imagine one of my best friends, because we usually have had this conversation, which is what's sparking this podcast. And I just imagine I'm talking to them. And before I had a podcast, I always have group chats with like my closest friends. And I would send usually like once a week or whenever something crazy would happen, I would send like a 10, 15-minute voice memo, like telling them about this date that happened and this crazy thing and the situation. And like, everyone was always just like, this is so hilarious, Brittnee, your dating life. Like, what is going on? And also just in general, like, these are my downloads for this week. Like, what are your guys' downloads? And so I basically just started, like, that was kind of the reason why I started my podcast was to help keep up my close friends. So like a lot of the stuff on my podcast, I'm like talking to my close friends about. And then now I feel like all of you are my community and you are my close friends in a wider, realm. And so it makes me feel really good when you come up to me and you give me these reflections, because literally I'm just speaking to a camera right now. Like I'm like, is anyone listening? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? But I know that you guys listen because you messaged me. I'm giving you this reflection that like comments on the podcast, sending me messages on IG, all of these things like really light me up. And also I usually make my podcast depending on what you guys want to hear, because I really do believe this is a co-creation. We are doing this together, whatever this weird thing is that's called the human reality experience. So I think that's it. I'm about to go to a dating event that has like 70 people here in San Francisco. A girlfriend of mine from Koh Phangan from Thailand, connecting with a girl here who's doing a lot of cool stuff like this. And so she invited me to this event today. And I'm like, I'm down. Let's try this. Very, very much calling in my life partner right now. So if you're him, I think it's going to be a male body. Could be a female body or other, but I think it'll be a male body. If you're him, please reach out to me because I would love to meet you. I think it would be really great to merge our lives together and have babies. I just, think that would be really great. Anyways, I know it's all happening in divine timing, and I am like literally vibing so hard with myself right now as a single human with like so much like just one as a single person with myself, but also like so many beautiful men, women, others in my life right now as lovers. But it's like, I really feel that my body really is excited and looking forward to having this deep partnership. Guys, I'm mostly Scorpio in my chart. Like, we are here for very deep partnership and connection. And most people, you hear my podcast and you're like, wow, she's talking about like super deep stuff. Like, how is she able to be so vulnerable? And I'm like, this is like 10% of like who I actually am. There's like 90% that like y'all mostly don't see. And that can be kind of lonely, if you're not being met in that. Like, as humans, we need these reflections. So I built a really beautiful soul family that can meet me in that. And I'm excited to have a life partner in that. In other news, I'm hosting my last play party, vanilla play party, next Saturday here in San Francisco area. And tickets are selling very fast. But it's a very big mansion. So, if you want to come and vibe with us, we have a video that explains it. What is Vanilla Play Party? I'm just like really excited by how quickly and how beautifully the community here is coming together around the Vanilla Play Parties. And there's a lot of other, it's a play party city here. Like, it's a Burning Man community here in San Francisco, if you didn't know that. It's very much Burning Man ethics and ethos. So there is a lot of stuff, and I'm excited to like bring my flavor and like add my little vanilla to it. And I'm just like showing up, doing the work, doing all that we can. Okay, now I'm rambling. I'm going to go. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next podcast.